1027 Business with Michael Avery.
With the 10-year anniversary of Marikana still fresh in many South Africans' minds, we have to ask ourselves how companies in the mining value chain are approaching their place in society and their responsibility to the communities in which they operate. Now, over the last few weeks and months, we've been speaking to leading blasting and explosives business in the value chain, Enaex Africa, which is a JV between Enaex and Sasol, about its approach to doing business, and it's really put safety first in everything it's done. Enaex is obviously the largest Chilean company, and this investment represents its largest investment into Africa. So it's a great pleasure to welcome back Francisco Baudrand, who's the CEO of Enaex Africa. Francisco, we touched on some of these themes briefly a couple of weeks ago. Last time out, we spoke about your African expansion strategy, but how are you thinking about this issue? What sort of CSR initiatives have already been set in motion for Enaex Africa?
Hi, Mike. It's a pleasure to chat with you again. So, firstly, it's important to say that we, in every place in the world, the typical approach that we take is that we look after the communities. Firstly, where we operate, in this case, with Bank Rustenburg Secunda for Enaex Africa, but also very important, we work very closely with our customers, so with our mining clients, and that means to work in the communities where they have their facilities, where they have their production sites, and that's where we have 50% of our people working in their production and mining sites. So in that sense, we work together with our customers as well. So for example, in our case, we have already done some work in communities with Anglo American, UMK, Exaro, Impala, just to mention one of the big ones. So yes, I think that everything in general is based on our look of a win-win situation with the communities.
So what sort of new CSR initiatives do you have in mind for the future, considering that you are already collaborating with some of the biggest mining companies in South Africa? You've just mentioned a few of them, Anglos, Exaro, Impala. What are the new initiatives that you've got in the pipeline?
So we are actually beginning a complete initiative on sponsoring an early childhood development school in Limpopo. It's in the Steelport area. This is a poor village that has no support for the mining houses in general or any industrial company. So we have said that education is one of the pillars that we believe that we have to look after in Enaex Africa, and it's very transformational for the kids. So if you look at kids that are between 10 months up to 5 years, and you will see that this is the most important stage of their life in order to start learning. And if you don't do something regarding the nutrition, for example, you will have problems with the kids in the future. If you don't give them enough tools so they are able to read when they are 7, 8 years old, what will happen, unfortunately, is that those kids are not going to really impact positively the society where we are present. So that is why it's so important to focus in this age below 5 years old. This is really changing the lives of the children going forward. So in that sense, we are, as I said, supporting an early childhood development at a pre-primary school. We are upgrading infrastructure, we are upskilling the teachers, we are putting technology. And what we want to do in a long-term view, because it's a long-term project in this case, is also do it in other locations. And as we move forward, we want to also look at the primary school. And finally, what is the great achievement that we would like to see is these kids going to university. And I will be very proud to see one of those working with us at Enaex.
Yeah, absolutely. But what it does demonstrate to you is a commitment to the long-term sustainability of these interventions. Because when you talk about that cradle-to-grave approach, you're taking the Early Childhood Development Centre, and stunting is a big issue in South Africa, and early childhood development, unless we address that, any intervention in primary or high school really is bound to fail. So you've got to start at the bottom, but then working all the way up. These are long-term commitments. And it really, I mean, it reminds me of what Nelson Mandela used to say about education, because it was one of his core personal beliefs that it's the most powerful weapon with which you can use to change the world. So it's fantastic to see the work that's going in to support those communities. And as you say, hopefully one day one of those children, or a few of them, might come and work for Enaex Africa. How do your core values, if you bring this back to really what your purpose is, how do your core values reflect in these sort of initiatives around CSR and education that you already have?
Well, so we have spoken about our values, and our main 4 values, is that our priority is life, that our vocation is our customers, our obsessions is the excellence, and our strength is innovation and entrepreneurship. So in that sense, I think it's very important that we can understand that when we talk about that the priority is life, which is our main value, we're not talking only about safety. Of course, we put safety first in everything that we do. But also, when we talk about life, we are talking about looking after the environment. We are talking about looking after the communities where we operate and where our customers operate. So we believe our core values, especially when we're talking about life, is in life when we talk about corporate social responsibility in Africa and on a global scale, Mike.
In conclusion then, and obviously we've got to live by these core values if we are going to make an impact, but why is it so important to you as the CEO to impact and change lives in the local communities where you operate, especially given that you're a foreign company? Why is this sort of one of your passion points?
Well, I think this is something that has changed in the last couple of years. So in my personal life, and when I came to South Africa 2.5 years ago, I started running this company in July 2020. And when you're a leader of a company, you can see that small things that you do can really have a great impact in people. So I always give the example of a family. There's a young professional that is the first professional in the family. And that young professional, we promote him or her to a new role with more responsibilities, with a greater impact in the role. So then that changed the life of the entire family. And that includes even the grandkids that are going to follow. So that's why I'm very sensitive and motivated in this concept of changing lives. And because of the same, when I believe I'm fortunate, because also whatever we can do has a lot of impact in, for example, CSR. So when we talk about CSR, we are doing projects with customers. We are also talking about these early childhood developments. And I have the ability to take the decision, to make a single project or to go to some community. And then we are talking about the possibility to really impact thousands of lives. So finally, as I say, as a CEO, I can just be sure that things happens, and I feel fortunate that in some way I am able to drive these and impact communities and impact lives. It's as I say, I'm lucky in that sense.
Well, I mean, it goes beyond, that kind of passion goes beyond any kind of KPI that you could link through into a balanced scorecard. That really comes from a deeper place of purpose and beyond what we often refer to as the social license to operate in mining. Now, will the expansion of eNex Africa include the expansion of your CSR initiatives? Are they going to go hand in hand?
Yes, absolutely, yes. Because basically, I would say 2 reasons. As we expand, we are also expanding our operations. And again, where we operate, we also look after the communities, in the new communities where we are, in the communities related to our new mining customers in new countries. So as we expand also, as I say, there are new communities related to this. And our plan is always to engage with more communities as we grow. And finally, as I said before, we want to go beyond CSR. I give the example of the early childhood, and also we want to create our own brand, touch other communities. So our expansion means more countries, and there will be more impact in lives in different communities in many countries in the continent, I believe.
Francisco Baudrand, CEO of Enaex Africa, sharing his undoubted passion and drive behind wanting to continue making a difference in the lives of Enaex Africa's employees, their surrounding communities, as well as the communities where they don't even have operations currently. And really, this to me embodies what we talk about when we talk about ESG. You're listening to Hot Business, and this has been the sustainability feature on the Thursday.
Hot 1027 Business with Michael Avery.